So as we reach the gate of Mdina, the Silent Sea, as soon as we hit through the gate, we hit the dungeons, a medieval setup and a good showcase.
Were amongst the most common choice. Talismans and amulets were the most popular objects used for protection. Potions, effigies, and various other hung objects were also used. Due to the affinities which developed between the slaves and the inhabitants, there was an increase in the number of superstitious objects, potions, and writings. There were also instances of Satanism. Superstition was thus looked upon by the authorities as a malaise which would prove contagious if left unchecked.
So who's that?
Slaves and mercenaries were arrested and tortured in all hospitals.
Bloody head's moving.
But I can see they the full copies of people for you, huh? Okay, it's not nice. No, it's very nice, but I think the same the full copies of people. Yeah. Now this is the main gate of Mdina. Over here is the castle. And in Mdina we have 3 gates. Now in about 20 minutes I will take you on the other side and I will show you the Greek gate and the British gate. Over here is a very old city. The castle is built in the 11th century and is built by the Arabs. Over here used to be the first capital city of Malta before Valletta. Valletta was then changed later in 1556. You see this building over here? It's the monastery called the Benedictine nuns. Benedictine nuns are very strict nuns. They never get out from there. Even when they die, there is even a cemetery inside. This one on my left is a private palace. You can see how big they are, the houses. The population of people living here is 200 people. These are all very rich and wealthy people, not like me. I don't live here. At the moment, there is only one house for sale. It's 7 million euro. Babe. It's 7 million euro, so you have to have a lot of money to buy it there. With the cars, only the residents can enter inside here. Okay. How long is your holiday here?
We've probably got about another 4 or 5.
4 or 5 days is very nice, very nice. Malta's a very small island.
It's beautiful to be honest.
Small island, but lots to see as well.
Yeah. But it's spread out, so you have to sort of travel around.
Yeah, exactly.
It's handy to have a little
Exactly.
This place is incredibly beautiful.
Yes, it's
really.
very nice. Over here is the center of Mdina. This building over here is St. Paul's Cathedral.
St. Paul's
Cathedral, otherwise known as Mdina Cathedral. What a stunning piece of work done by Gaffer, classed as his masterpiece being built in a Baroque style. After the 12th century, the cathedral was destroyed by an earthquake. The cathedral was built on the site St. Paul met the Roman governor, Publius. Following St. Paul's shipwreck in Malta, as you look into its eye-catching design, Latin cross plan consisting of a vaulted nave, 2 aisles with its 2 side chapels. The artwork, originally being done by the Manor brothers from Sicily, depicted the life of St. Paul being destroyed twice, with the dome lastly in 1856 and again in 1927. They were later replaced by Mario Ferro War being restored in 1956. What a stunning design that we see up on the ceilings here.
It's the main cathedral because Mdina used to be the first capital city. These over here, they are all private houses. The first house that was built here is this one on the left with the black door. It's an Arabic style house and its name is Santa Sofia Palace. It's built in 1233.
1233.
Yes. over here is called the Bastionsport, and it's the second highest point of Malta. The highest point of Malta is called the Cliffs. Would you like to go down and have a look? There's a nice view over here.
Yeah,
I wait for
please,
you,
please.
okay? Yeah, go have a look. I wait for you, no problem.
That must be a restaurant. You've got a whole load of tables and chairs. Looks like the path is quite bigger, so you can see the like a military type building on there.
Down here is a cemetery under the church. It's used for the local. Now this over here is the street of the Game of Thrones. They made this movie film Game of Thrones. Mdina is quite popular for many more films like Gladiator, Troy, Napoleon, The Countdown, Monte Cristo, Midnight Express, many movies in here.
Yeah, I knew about the Game of Thrones.
Yes, season 1 King's Landing is made here.
Yeah, that's right. And you've got the gate as well.
Exactly, yeah. The main part is still near the main gate on the bridge.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Turkish attack. The knights skillfully turned the invaders away, but the Turkish general Dragut turned his attention to Gozo. In the confusion, the Sicilian nobleman killed his wife and 2 daughters to avoid their capture by the Turks. The Grand Master was horrified to learn of the atrocities carried out by Dragut in Gozo, and of the carrying away of the entire Gostan population to slavery. French Grand Master Claude Lassangle built Fort St. Michael and made great improvements to Sanglia. During one of his fleet's expeditions by sea, a hurricane destroyed his entire fleet in port, including his galley, the Capitana. The knights in Malta had assumed the role of defending Christian shipping. In 1565, under Grand Master Jean Parisio de la Valette, the Turks caught up with the knights and assembled an immensely huge fleet around Malta. The first assault was made on Fort St. Elmo, which took a full month to fall, to the great astonishment of the Turks. Behind the crackle of fire and the cries of the dying, the courageous Italian Paolo Avogadro was butchered at the door of the chapel. Allah, the Turks cried when across the bright waters of the Grand Harbour they saw the massive Fort St. Angelo. If so small a son has cost us so dear, what price shall we have to pay for so large a father? Grand Master La Valette, whose secretary was Englishman Sir Oliver Starkey, realized that this was going to be a siege of endurance. In the first week of July 1565, the Turks attacked St. Angelo, St. Michael, and the villages of Burglo and Sanglia. The massacre was indescribable. Bodies were torn apart. Still, the Turks charged forward with ferocity and determination. Attack and counterattack followed in quick succession, until, 4 months after the siege started, the Turks finally rushed their ships, never to return. Over 7,000 people, knights, foreign soldiers, and Maltese perished. The Turks lost 30,000. But after the defeat of Fort St. Elmo, knights were beheaded, nailed onto wooden crosses, and allowed to float in Grand Harbour.
Hear that?
In return, Grandmaster Lavalette ordered the head of the Turkish prisoners to be cut off and fired from cannons into the Turkish ranks.
You know what he said? Take that.
Similar episodes during the Great Siege led to many Turkish prisoners being hanged. The famous Turkish general Dragut met his fate in Malta during the Great Siege. His death signaled defeat in many a Turkish mind.
For the moment, you can listen to the audio. When the light goes off, you can move
Dragut
to
was the
next one.
Turkish Sultan's most trusted hero, and with the loss of their most able general, confusion started to take its toll, leading to a massive Turkish defeat.
It's like 10 seconds behind, so it's like...
Did you hear that bit when they said they cut their heads off and put them in the cannons and shot them back at them? Didn't you?
Pleased with the outcome of the Great Siege, European countries donated generously to realize Lavalette's dream of building a new fortified capital city in Malta. Lavalette laid the foundation stone, but he was dead by the time Valletta started taking shape. A series of underground tunnels provided for a common drain and was one of the first developments undertaken by the Maltese architect Girolamo Cassar under Italian Grand Master Pietro Chiocchi del Monte San Savino. The relaxed atmosphere after the Great Siege encouraged many young men to join the order. The French Grand Master Jean l'Évêque de la Cassière made tactless efforts to enforce moral discipline when he obtained the Pope's permission to appoint an inquisitor. This finally led to a rebellion against him, led by one of the Great Siege heroes, Romegas. La Cassière was imprisoned and later sent to Rome, where he never returned.
Okay.
Order was restored again by the election of the French Prime Minister after winning. Leadership skills made him popular and respected. He realized the importance of a continuous water supply to the capital Valletta and commissioned the building of large aqueducts to bring water to the new city. The water from faraway Dinkley travelled by gravity through canals built on arches and spurted out of a beautiful stone-sculptured fountain in Valletta. French Grandmaster Antoine de Paul took great interest in the making of coins at the mint. During his leadership, he undertook the carrying out of a census of knights and began the Floriana fortifications, using the Pope's personal architect, Pietro Floriani. Amorous adventures between noble women and knights were not uncommon, especially during Carnival. Scrupulous French Grandmaster Jean-Baptiste Lascaris de Castellar was infuriated when he witnessed such behavior. He later banned such festivities. The building of coastal towers all around Malta was one of the prominent aspects of the Knights' plan for the island's defence. Spanish Grandmaster Martín de Redín y Cruzat built 13 such towers, by which he is still remembered to this day. Malta's aim of helping the sick and wounded was never forgotten. Spanish Grandmaster Rafael Cotoner de Aloza, together with doctors and nurses, attended to the needs of the wounded. It was obligatory for knights to attend personally to the needs of the sick by performing at least one of the duties of nursing. Valletta was greatly enriched artistically during the reign of Grandmaster Cotoner. Cotoner constructed an important military defense, the Cotonera Lines. He was also a lover of art and commissioned Matteo Preti to transform the Church of St. John, particularly the vaulted ceiling, with superb paintings depicting the history of the order. Preti had devoted his life to the service of the order. Italian Grandmaster Gregorio Carafa della Rochella was a great sailor and warrior, having been himself Admiral of the fleet. The Order's naval supremacy was well established and feared by the Turks all along the Mediterranean route. Corsairs were allowed to hunt their prey, and now and then the Grand Master had a look at what they brought home. The Order also provided trained sailors who later proved a great asset to European countries engaged in sea warfare. It was in 1693 that a strong earthquake shook Malta. Mdina's old buildings were the ones that suffered most. Grandmaster Winocourt asked architect Lorenzo Gaffa to plan reconstruction. While digging through the rubble, a Byzantine treasure was found, which included gold, coins, and a sword. A copper pot from this treasure is now at the Mdina Cathedral Museum.
Mine's back now.
The magnificent Gobelin tapestries were paid for by the Spanish Grandmaster Ramon Perellos y Rocafu. They were based on paintings of native life that the governor of the Dutch possessions in Brazil presented to Louis XIV of France. These priceless works of art are in the council chamber of the Grand Master's Palace in Valletta, now occupied by Malta's President and Parliament. Architect François de Mondion was the man trusted by Portuguese Grandmaster Antonio Manuel de Vilhena to bring to reality his ideas about the construction of Fort Manuel on Manuel Island. Mondion also designed the premises you are now in, originally as magazines for the storage of gunpowder and ammunition. He made various modifications to Mdina, such as the main gate and the construction of Vilhena Palace. De Vilhena exploited the geographical position of the Grand Harbour and turned it into a commercial hub. He also built the beautiful Manuel Theatre in Valletta for the entertainment of the masses. The Portuguese Grandmaster Manuel Pinto da Fonseca was the ambitious leader who loved precedence. One of his page boys was Jacques Champré, later to become governor of Gozo. He conferred titles on the Maltese, founded the University of Malta, and built great warehouses all along the port. Malta's economy at the time was one of the most thriving in Europe, but he deliberated with pomp over the fate of those brought before him. and dealt mercilessly with an uprising by slaves, having its leaders butchered and torn apart. The Spanish Grandmaster, Francisco Jimenez de Tejada, did not carry out the urgent reforms that were necessary under the previous Grandmaster Pinto. On the contrary, during his brief reign, he witnessed a rebellion by a group of priests who protested at the limitations imposed by him over their hunting rights. The leader of the rebellion, Gaetano Manarino, was imprisoned. The next election for Grandmaster was won by the Frenchman, Emmanuel de Rohan de Poitou, and opened a distinguished period in the history of Maltese law. He successfully turned Malta's finances from a deficit to a healthy surplus, and introduced a more relaxed way of working by staying at the palace in St. Anton Gardens, returning to Valletta in the evening. But during a period when Napoleon Bonaparte was posing a threat to Mediterranean ports, he suffered a stroke that did not permit him to fully control the ensuing state of affairs. Because Spain joined France in the revolution, there remained only one person able to lead the order without compromising his position. The choice fell upon the German, Ferdinand von Hompesch zu Bolheim, a diplomat rather than a warrior, who took no defensive measures, even though he was warned of the impending attack by Napoleon. He did not join the gloomy delegation to Napoleon's ship, Lorient, that boarded in rough seas shortly after midnight.
This over here on the right is the British gate, the second gate of the area over here is called the Greek Square, and that one over there on the right is the Greek Gate, the last and final gate.
The final gate. That's the last. So was it the British were the last rulers?
Sorry?
The British ruled last time.
Yes, this
Then-
is called the British Gate because Malta made a long time as English.
The Arabs were the first one, so that's the first gate. Then it's the Greeks as the second gate, and the final gate's the British because the British ruled.
So Italy didn't even rule this, right?
Huh?
So Italy didn't even
No,
rule.
no, Italy's never been a
They're just close, isn't it?
Yeah, they're just close by.
A lot of refugees and that.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, they say a lot of the refugees built this place. And yeah. Russians are clever when it comes to building,
But that would have been a long time before.
what's that?
called the Archbishop Square, and this building over here is the Archbishop Palace. On the right is the Cathedral Museum. This one is a 5-star hotel. It is the only hotel in Mdina, and it's named the Shara Palace, 5-star hotel.